This guy was suicidal. And eventually he hanged himself. And the mother was so frustrated and kept saying, "What a wasted life. Such a wasted life." So when I was visiting with her, I said, you got to stop this. It was not a wasted life. He was suicidal for about 6 years before he actually killed himself. Which means that for 6 years he fought this thing. 6 years he was successful in refusing to kill himself, which is not easy. And every time he refused, he became holier. Every time he refused to kill himself, he weakened that evil impulse for everybody in the world. Because he said no to the temptation of killing himself, everyone in the world can now say no to that temptation a little easier. Because, we all live in the same bubble. When a person does something good on one side of the world, it helps everybody in the world to do good. When a person does something bad, gives in to a weakness, that weakness becomes stronger in general in the world, and everybody has a harder time saying no to it. So a guy who refuses to kill himself for 6 years despite the temptation, he's a hero. After 6 years, it wore him down. So imagine a guy in the army is defending a position against the enemy, and he defends it successfully for 6 years. And then he runs out of bullets. But that a wasted life? The man's a hero. So, when our existence is really bad, and we don't let it ruin our lives, you have two sides to your presence, the painful side and the heroic side. You get too focused on one side, you're not looking at yourself objectively or correctly. Just like the guy who does one good thing in his whole miserable life, he does one good thing and thinks he's perfect. You say, "Excuse me, but what about the bad things you did?" Because I don't want to talk about it. So what do you mean you don't want to talk about it? You're living in denial. So when a bad person acts as if he were good, we all hate him. But most other people act as if they're completely bad and refuse to talk about the good side. Why is that better? So, how do you handle the negative, painful side of your existence? Just be even. Be balanced. Okay, that's the bad news. Now what's the good news?
Eric, first, it's great to meet you. I was first introduced to it to your teachings by a pamphlet that I got when I was in prison, and it came to me. I felt at a really perfect time for me, because I was still struggling with even though I was maybe I should go back a little bit. I was in prison because I made the selfish decision to drive under the influence, and while doing so, I struck and killed another person. After that, I was sentenced to prison. I would say that I did not immediately take responsibility for it. I didn't know really how to deal with the guilt. And there was classes that I took that sort of helped me to not drink, but I didn't really understand what was going on with my drinking or my decision making at the time, and how that I had came to a place where a person was killed because of my actions, and now I'm in prison. And that was when I kind of stumbled upon your teachings about choices, called Choices for Life, and about the difference between life and existence. And it sort of helped to give me a way of looking at my past and a way of looking at my future, to where I could understand more what was going on with me at the time, and help me to sort of change thinking patterns that I had before into something that would actually be more fulfilling. And yeah, so it's great to meet you in person.
So what was the idea that first appealed to you?
The idea that first appealed to me was just understanding that there's that you have these two different ways of living your life. You can have, of being. You can be totally focused on your existence, which is a very self-serving, very much, this is, I want to take up all this space. And somehow, my life was sort of based upon that, because even in my own thinking, it was always about me. And it was, if I get to this next thing, this is when I'm finally going to feel this sense of fulfillment or whatever that I'm needing to do. And that was sort of like a driving force in all of my choices, even choices that would seem sort of to be selfish choices, like joining the military. I really did for very self-centered reasons. I wanted to prove myself. It wasn't because I wanted to be of service, really. Even though I said that, it was really about me. All of my choices were really for me, about me. And so it helped me to, that was what attracted me, was that it helped to give me a way of looking at my choices then, to where I could understand why those things weren't fulfilling for me, why they were ultimately destructive, why they pushed people away from me. So it helped to give me an understanding, tools, in essence, to look at where I was going, who I am now, and how can I make choices going forward to actually have a real life.
So it sounds like it identified what your choices were,
mm-hmm.
which you weren't seeing before.
No, I was making, how can I say it? I had a way of, in the first class we call it's, am I a good person? And that was, I would always sort of I would always use that, sorry if I'm that was always something that was I always had a lot of negative self-talk about myself and about what I was doing. And for me, drinking sort of quieted that. It was like a way of quieting that. But in that class, when we talk about, am I a good person? The question should not really be, are you a good person? The question is, what can you do can you do something good today? Is there something good you can do right now? And so that was a tool that I use that helps me to be able to shift the focus away from me and onto how can I be a positive for somebody else. And that was something that before it was the focus was always on me all the time. My thoughts are always about me, always on my existence, always on what's going on with me right now, and never on anybody else. And it's embarrassing, shameful in some sort of ways. It's burdensome. And it's difficult to see the value in yourself, because your existence is, as you said, it's embarrassing. Why do I need all this space? What do I need all this for? So having tools like that really, and even helped me with, a lot of the grief that I have for what I did. Because it's hard to reconcile if you say, am I a good person, but look at what I've done and look at the consequences of that are still living on. But if you change that into, I can still do something that's good. I can do things that are good. And when I see it that way, the byproduct of that is, I feel I have a happy byproduct of that is that you do feel a sense of value in yourself, not an artificial value that I was creating before, but a real tangible value. Because when you do something good, it's there, it's real, and you can see it. So it's something that I'm really grateful for.
It seems like most people spend their lives making choices between two ways of existing. Should I exist like this or should I exist like that? Pretty much it boils down to the same thing. You're existing.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not even a real choice. You're like chasing your tail, and it's like, no matter what you choose, there you are. It's still you.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the frustration of it. If I do drink, well, that's just me. If I don't drink, that's the other me. But it's all me.
Mm-hmm.
So I exist like this or I exist like that. Introducing the idea that you have another choice. It's not between one existence and another. You got a whole different dimension that you could step away from yourself a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
This is an amazing thing that I don't know why it took us so long to figure this one out, but the ability to get away from yourself, that's heaven.
Yeah, it's nice to be able to take a break, take a break from me, and just concentrate on somebody else or something else. And even it changed, like, it doesn't mean that I don't do things for myself, but I do it with a purpose, not based on me. So if I'm educating myself, I'm doing it because I want to be a better service to somebody else. If I'm resting, it's so that I can go to work tomorrow and be a better worker for my company or whatever it may be. But it just gives you, it just gives me a better feeling of self-worth, more of a purpose. So I'm not, and it keeps me out of my self-involvement, my addiction. Really, I mean, I was addicted to alcohol, but I was more addicted to me. So just being able to break the me addiction.
It breaks all the addiction.
It breaks everything. It breaks everything away, and I can be a part of life. I can participate in life.
You can also say it a little differently. It didn't give me a better sense of my worth. It made me comfortable with my worthlessness.
Yeah, I understand. Yes, I understand.
I am worthless. So what?
Yeah.
Gotta do good.
Yeah.
So the whole question of am I not, either way, it's not a good question. Mm-hmm. It's the wrong focus. So if we start off as children, in terms of educating kids in a healthy way, if you start off with the assumption, look, you're worthless. You're a petty, tiny, selfish little creature. Now, you want to do something good or not? But you're not going to change the worthlessness. Because a human being is just a human being. Mm-hmm. So unless we can do something, I don't know, superhuman, more than human, we're stuck in our little pettiness, in our little humanness. So it's a very healthy, I think it's the only healthy attitude towards self is, of course I'm worthless, but why are we talking about me?
Yeah. And even too, sometimes when I feel, I don't know, sad about a situation, when I'm caught up in those thoughts, I just say, well, why am I talking about me? There's other things that I can focus on. There's other things I could do. Whereas before, I would continue on down that road, continue on down that path of negativity, of self-negativity. Okay, well, maybe if I just do this now, then I'm gonna stop being so negative. Then it's gonna go away. But it just grows. It's just more embarrassing that I'm concentrating on myself. It's just more negative. I just become more addicted to me. So just being able to you don't have to make that choice. There's something better for you. There's something that is actually satisfying. Something that is actually worth, participating in.
How do you apply this to guilt? I mean, you are guilty.
I am guilty.
I don't mean you.
Yeah.
I mean everybody.
Yeah. And yeah.
So we're all guilty. How does this change your guilt?
For me, what it helped me again was to shift the focus off of me, like what I had talked about before a little bit, is that like I am guilty and I can still do something that's good. I can still contribute. And also in that, it helped me to see the separation from the person that I was when I first made that choice. In the sense of that, I can understand more what was going on with me then, why I make those sort of choices. It doesn't justify it in any sort of way, but I understand it more, what was going on with me at the time and what I was trying to do. And I also recognize that I don't have to make those choices anymore. I can live differently. And so in that, I can sort of see the separation from the person I was then and the person that I am now. And it allows me to just, how can I say, it just gives me sort of a break from that. I don't know what the word would be. And just in more so in that I can I can make a better choice now. I can do something different today, you know.
Now you made a bad choice in drinking. You didn't choose to kill anybody. So I think it's a little easier to handle your guilt than a guy who chose to kill somebody. Would that work for him too?
I believe so.
What does he do with that guilt?
I believe you have to use that guilt as motivation for you to become somebody that would never do that again. Use that guilt as motivation for you to help somebody else. So it has to be, you have to find a way to use that very negative thing for something positive now, today. And so that has to, like, amends for me is a lifelong process. And I understand that. And all you can do is try to use what you did in the past and the consequences that it caused as motivation for me now to try to give back. And yeah, that's what I would say to that person, is that you can use that negativity for a positive now, for a positive ends today. If you choose to, you have a choice.
But again, that choice is not that you become a better person. Because that sounds a little hokey. I'm a murderer, but I'm a better person.
Mm-hmm.
No, you're not.
Yeah.
But you can do better.
Yes.
And that is more important, not less important. So I think we talked about this, that regret, true regret, healthy regret, always has to involve someone else besides yourself. Because if you just regret what you are, or you regret what you did, you're still stuck in yourself. It's still all about yourself, and that's never healthy. So repenting, regretting, asking for forgiveness, it's all wallowing in self. But if the guilt is, how could I harm someone else? It's not what I did, it's who I did it to. Now, why would I do that to her? Why would I do that to him? Why would I do that to my own mother? Why would I do that to my friend or to an innocent bystander? That's real regret, because it's taking you outside of yourself. That's life. But if you regret what you did, you don't like yourself, that's just more self.
Mm-hmm.
You just go down. So even a person who did something really horrific, the regret is not what he did. It's who he did it to. That's real. Mm-hmm. When a person says, I did something so horrible. I can't believe it. I'm such an animal. Well, you can't believe it?
Mm.
That's what you are. But an animal can do good things too.
Mm-hmm.
So stop trying to change yourself. Change the quality of your life, which means your effect on others. So this is all a really fascinating. It's like opening up a whole new dimension that you can escape to. How do people handle the torture or the pain of incarceration?
There's a lot of different choices that people make as far as it. Some people will dive into sort of gangs and the politics of prison because it can give you a sense of sort of belonging or a sense of like control that I have over the situation or whatever. A lot of people may start using drugs and various other ways. Some people sort of will dive into like a sort of fantasy sort of world where they believe that, I'm going to get out next year because I'm innocent and I have this lawsuit that I'm filing. And then there are other groups of people who and I feel this is a good majority of the group who try to come to a better understanding of what happened and are genuinely fueled by the remorse that they have for their actions and try to understand better the choices that they made and how they can make better choices today.
So the suffering every day, day by day, they don't find it unjust or disproportionate?
Oh, sure. There's the spectrum is in prison. There's people that did horrendous things, and there's people who are there for nonviolent crimes, essentially, and were guilty of being poor or whatever it may be. So yeah, there's definitely a lot of that going on. There's definitely a lot of, that's something that you do to pass the time is complain about how bad it is.
Did you feel that it was unjust? Your punishment was...
No, I didn't feel that my punishment was unjust. No, not in my case. I didn't feel that way, no. But that doesn't mean that I didn't at times fall into complaining about the circumstances of the prison or whatever they may be. But if I was being honest with myself, no, I didn't have any it would be, in the beginning, it was not that way, I should say. I regularly went to groups and I would complain about how I would use things like it was an accident, but accident in the sense of that it was something that just happened that I didn't contribute to. Like I meant accident in like the purest sense of the word. Mm-hmm. And I'm grateful in the sense of that when I went to groups and the classes, people confronted me and said, how could you say that? How could you not sort of act like you're innocent almost, So yeah, there was definitely an evolution for me. I wasn't, in the very, very beginning, it was very self-involved, very much, how could this happen to me, sort of a way that I would frame it, because I wanted sympathy or whatever. And yeah, I'm grateful for the fact that there was classes and there was people there that confronted me and said, no, how could you possibly think that, and why are you thinking in that way? And and this class too was a way for me to have those sort of conversations and to be able to confront myself about things, because if you don't have that, if you're allowed to just if you're just in your cell and you're just with your own thoughts and with yourself, you're just going to continue to go deeper and deeper into it. So that's another thing that's important about having classes sort of like this, that you can Because when you speak those things out, and when you see people's reactions, like sometimes the things that are in your mind make total sense when you're alone. And then when you go out and you speak them out in front of other people, it's like, oh wow, is that really who I am? So yeah, just the act of doing that sometimes can be very, can help you see yourself more clearly.
So prison didn't ruin your life?
No, I can't say. Had I not, and this is something that I would not have said in the beginning when I first entered prison, but had I not been to prison, had I not had the interactions with the people that I had, or met the people that I had met, learned things that I've learned, then, I still would have been making the same sort of choices that I was making. And that was a real, part of the class that we talked about, you can participate in life now. You don't have to wait till you get out of prison. You can do good now. It's not something that's, when I get out of here, then I can start living life, or then I can do whatever. No, you can do things that are good now. And in fact, there's more need in this place where there's so much suffering and there's so much, there's more need for that in here than you could probably ever find on the outside. So you can be of such use in here now. And that was something that was very freeing for me,
So why'd you leave?
They made me leave.
They threw you out.
Yeah, they threw me out.
Just when things were getting...
Yeah, just when I was getting the hang of it, But I have been really grateful in that I have been able to go back into the prison and been able to help in various sorts of, in groups.
So you're not giving up on them?
I'm not giving up. You can't kick me out of here. So yeah, it has been, but it's important because you can have this sort of thinking where, oh, my life isn't going to start till I get out, or there's nothing good I can do here, nothing matters in here, because it does, prison doesn't change. Every day is the same. So it doesn't matter if you, get a college degree or do whatever it is you're doing in prison. You take this program, I'm still going back to the same cell. I'm still eating the same food. So it can be very much, you don't feel the sense of change in your life. You don't, what's the point you can get to? But if you can shift that into helping people, into participating in groups or talking to individuals on the yard, then you can see the change in people. You can see the good that you're doing in there, and then
breaks the monotony.
It breaks the monotony. Wow. First and foremost, you can just listen to somebody. You can just be there for somebody and talk to them about their issues, whatever they may be going through, and just be willing just to sit with them and listen to their issues, whatever they may be. You can sponsor another individual, whether it be somebody who's dealing with a drug issue or whatever it may be. I was a tutor for a long time, so you tutor people, helping them get their GED or helping them with their college homework. There's a lot of different issues that people have to navigate, and personalities or whatever it may be. So, and there's a lot of pulls to maybe hey, come take some drugs, or come hang out with us or whatever. So it's important to recognize when somebody may be in danger of going down that path and be able to pull them to the side and say, hey, this is not what you want to do. There's something better for you. There's something more fulfilling for you. You've already gone down that road. You know what's going to happen. So yeah, there's just so many opportunities. You can create programs to help other people. It's endless.
Were you able to help anybody with their taxes?
No, there was no...
No Shawshank?
No Shawshank. Unfortunately, yeah, the warden never pulled me aside and asked me to help me with his taxes. And he had his own cell and everything. He was doing great in that movie. But yeah, no, unfortunately, no, there wasn't any sort of those situations. But I mean, but you can even help too. Even for the CDC, if you're doing well, and even now, I think when I'm outside of prison, I can help people in prison by doing well. If I am successful, if I'm a good employee, people look at me and they say, oh, hey, maybe we had some worries about hiring somebody out of prison. but Eric's worked out really well for us, you know? So I'm still able to help them even with the choices that I'm making out here. And me making that connection is a direct result of sort of the way that I see things now from the class. And even the recognition and the appreciation that there's somebody who made better choices so that I was able to get here. There was someone who had it much harder than me, who did way less than me, who didn't hurt as many people as I hurt, and went through way more than I did, and opened that door for me. And that was something that me and my self-involvement before would have never had thought about. It was only about me, you know? Even though I could be sitting into a group next to somebody who was, say, a nonviolent three-striker who had more prison time than I did, I was still like, why am I here? And not even seeing the person next to me, because that's how self-involved, that's how big my existence had become. But I don't have to live that way. I don't want to live that way, and that's not even life. So yeah, just having the ability to, or just not having the ability, just having that awareness now changes everything, I think.
So let's make it clear to people who are listening. There's a difference between living and existing. That's the punchline of the whole course. Existing means maintaining your presence, occupying your space, and using up resources just so that you can continue occupying your space. So existence has many demands, many needs. You can be busy with it all the time. And if you improve your existence to where you have a lot of space of your own, a big house, a big budget, a big bank account, and it feels like you've accomplished something really meaningful. And it can be mistaken for life, that you have a good life. Where in fact, all you have is a good existence. Life, on the other hand, doesn't make any demands. You don't use up resources. On the contrary, you give life, you don't take life. So life means the ability to make a difference in the world around you. And for that, you need no resources. And it's unconditional. It can be anywhere, inside, outside. So you have the choice of either focusing on life or focusing on existence. And existence, by its very nature, even when it's good, is slightly depressing. So when it becomes really serious, it becomes more depressing. And it becomes heavier, it becomes too depressing. So the option is go for life. So in simple summary, our real freedom of choice is you can either see yourself as needy and pursue those needs, or you can see yourself as needed and fulfill that purpose. And if those are the choices, it's pretty clear which way you should go. So in prison, your existence is pretty miserable. That's always true. Whether deserved or undeserved, it's pretty miserable. You don't have a place of your own. You don't have the resources of your own. You can't come and go when you want. Your existence is pretty narrow, minimal. But it doesn't mean you can't live. So only existence can be damaged or interfered with. A government can interfere with your existence. A neighbor can interfere with, a mother-in-law can interfere with your existence, but they can't ruin your life, because life is not ruinable, if there's such a word. So making people aware, as you say, of this option sets them free no matter where they are.
if there was a comparison, or if I was to draw a distinction, it would be that like this course helps to give, a lot of courses will won't necessarily give you a tool, like tools for how to make better choices going forward and how to necessarily look at your choices from the past. It'll more so be, sometimes it'll be described as, oh, it's a mystery, you'll never understand why you're doing these sort of things. But with this course, you know, you can have a way of looking at your choices going forward. Like, does this add to my existence? Is this just something that's very self-serving? Or is this something that's going to bring life? Is it something that's going to be beneficial to someone else? So in that, I believe that's different in the sense that it gives you a sort of set of tools for making choices when you go forward, I think. Anyway.
I remember a time when people were saying, it was a popular, that healthy people make healthy choices for themselves. A person who's not healthy will, what was the expression? Non-life supporting decisions at the moment, in the context. Mm-hmm. So what you did wrong was you made a non-life supporting decision. So if we want to help you, we're going to teach you how to make life supporting decisions, better decisions for yourself. You're still stuck with yourself. Mm-hmm. And most people really can tell the difference between a life-supporting decision or a non-life-supporting decision for themselves. And yet they make non-life-supporting decisions because the difference isn't that great. This will get me that benefit, this will get me this benefit. I don't really care for the benefit. So what are you telling me? How to be a better selfish person? A more effectively selfish person? Mm-hmm. Not really changing anything. But the distinction between living and existing, that's a real difference. It really sets up the options very clearly. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't have to be self-serving. And that's really the best. Just spoke this morning about how people who are addicted are basically addicted to themselves. The substance is just an outlet. Mm-hmm. The addiction is to self. Can't get past myself. So if I was an alcoholic, I would be talking about myself, the alcoholic. And when I'm not an alcoholic, I talk about myself, the recovering alcoholic. Mm-hmm. Either way, nobody can tolerate you because...
Still talking about me, yeah. That is a difference too, a big difference is the sense of that the conversation is not just based upon me all the time, you know, because a lot of times classes can sort of drive that self-focused more and more and more. And you see it a lot in the sense of that there are people who they take those same very self-centered characteristics and then just try to make them in a more acceptable way. So I haven't really changed who I am or how the type of choice or the choices that I'm making. I'm just making them in a more acceptable way, in a more sophisticated way. I'm just a more sophisticated whatever I was. I'm a more sophisticated alcoholic or whatever their issue may be, my issue may be. So I think what this class does is help you to like true change. True change is I see the world differently now, and I'm choosing this other path. And I think for me, that's also a big difference between this class and other classes, is I'm not just sort of rearranging me in a more acceptable way. No, I'm doing something different now.
How do you like me now?
Yeah, exactly.
And it's still me.
Yeah.
I found that it's also really crucial to people who are suicidal. People who are suicidal are trying to kill themselves. What are they trying to do? They want to end their lives? Is that what they want to do?
Mm-hmm.
No. They want to get away from their existence. Because it's horrible to be stuck in yourself. So how do you get unaddicted to yourself? You kill it. But you're trying to kill it, end up killing yourself. Mm-hmm. So you want to really destroy your existence, break out of that, so that you can live. But you end up not living because you have to have a little existence in order to live.
Yeah.
So it could be literally life-saving to make that distinction. Mm-hmm. Don't end your life, just stop existing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Don't exist so much.
Yeah, I have that even if somebody may be criticizing me or maybe saying something about me, I can sort of like what you were talking about, like I'm worthless or whatever. It's like, okay, fine. Like, fine, that's fine. If people feel that way or somebody may say something or something doesn't go my way, like I still, okay. I'm still just going to make this other choice now to like, I don't have to dwell on that. I don't have to
all the more reason.
All the more reason. Like, and I can still make this other choice to be a benefit to someone else or just something else. It doesn't always have to be about me. Even when you're talking about me, it doesn't have to be about me, you know? Like, so yeah, it just allows me just to be free of that.
One thing you said that I had never thought of is how you do outside actually paves the way for others, makes it easier for them to succeed outside. And that those who succeeded before you made it easier for you to succeed. That's a very idealistic and noble realization. Because everything we do affects everybody. We just don't think of it. So any person struggling with a moral decision is already making it better for everyone else in the world because you're struggling with it. You're not giving in to it, which weakens that evil, or whatever it is that you're struggling with. It immediately weakens it because you didn't give in. You're resisting it. Now everyone in the world can resist it more easily. You've paved the way. And if you win in the struggle and you refuse to give in, that took a bite out of evil for everybody. So if you take a bite out of evil here, all evil in the world has been diminished. So it's easier for people anywhere in the world to be good.
Yeah. I'm grateful for the sense of how more connected I feel with just my community and with like there could be like a piece of paper or trash on the ground, and I would go and I think of it now in the sense of like, if I go and pick up that piece of trash or whatever it may be, so it could be very small, but if I pick that up, someone else doesn't have to go and pick that up. I can do something for someone else right now in this moment, very small, and it goes into every single choice that you make, you know. So yeah, just having that awareness and being connected to something other than myself is just it's a really great feeling.
So what we're really saying goes against everything psychology says, right? Psychologists tell you if you do what's best for you, that will make you feel really good. Mm-hmm. And you're saying, no, do something you don't even need. That makes you feel really good.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I definitely went down the path of like, this is the next thing that I need to do for me to feel the way I think I'm supposed to feel. And
doesn't happen.
It never feels that way. The goalpost always gets moved further and further away, and I'm more and more embarrassed by this existence that I've created that is very big and very empty.
Amazing.
So I'm grateful now that I'm not playing that game anymore, that I'm going down a different set of choices now. And even if it's something like picking up a piece of trash or something small, I feel great about it. This is great. I get to be a part of this. I get to be part of this, clean up this, whatever this may be, or on to bigger choices too.
Yeah, so simple and so powerful. Thank you.
Thank you. Just, I would encourage anyone who may be listening to this, or maybe in prison, or whatever your situation may be, to just give it a chance. You don't. There is a different way of being, and I would invite you to be a participant in the class and to take a chance on life. So.
Awesome.